The line they never drew, how Faye and Yoko's openness turned into pressure. At first, it felt refreshing, natural, comforting. Faye and Yoko didn't build their connection behind locked doors or guarded statements. Instead, they let fans see warmth, casual glances, quiet laughter, soft moments that didn't feel staged. They didn't announce boundaries or define labels. They simply existed, openly and gently, in front of millions. And that openness is exactly what made people fall in love with them. But now, fans are beginning to ask a harder question, one that feels uncomfortable yet impossible to ignore. What happens when openness slowly turns into expectation? What happens when the line is never drawn? How openness became their signature. From the beginning, Faye and Yoko stood out because they felt real. They weren't loud. They weren't performative. They didn't tease fans with exaggerated fan service. Instead, their bond felt lived in, like something that existed long before cameras were rolling. Small gestures told bigger stories. Comfort replaced spectacle. And fans responded not just with admiration, but with emotional investment. Their openness wasn't about revealing everything, it was about not hiding warmth. And that distinction mattered until it didn't. When fans started reading between every line. As their popularity grew, so did the attention. Every interaction was clipped, replayed, slowed down, and analyzed. Silence became suspicious. Distance became alarming. Even normal changes in behavior felt loaded with meaning. Fans didn't just watch anymore, they interpreted. A missed appearance sparked concern. A quieter live stream triggered theories. A delayed response became a narrative. And slowly, without anyone intending it, Faye and Yoko's openness stopped being something they offered. It became something fans expected. The pressure of always being soft. One of the biggest shifts fans noticed wasn't a specific moment. It was an emotional one. Faye and Yoko were no longer allowed to simply exist in neutral space. If they were affectionate, fans celebrated. If they were distant, fans worried. If they were silent, fans demanded reassurance. The softness that once felt organic started to feel like a responsibility. People began asking, why aren't they interacting like before? Did something happen? Are they okay? Suddenly, normal human fluctuations felt like something they had to explain. Why the line was never drawn. Many fans believe the core issue isn't distance, it's boundaries. Faye and Yoko never clearly defined what parts of their connection were public and what parts were private. Not because they were careless, but because they trusted their audience. They believed warmth could exist without consequences. But in today's hyper-connected fandom culture, openness without boundaries becomes a blank canvas, and everyone projects their own expectations onto it. What was meant as connection slowly transformed into obligation. The quiet signs of emotional weight. Recently, fans have noticed subtle changes. More controlled appearances. More careful wording. Less spontaneous interaction. Not cold. Not distant. Just guarded. It doesn't feel like conflict. It feels like caution. And that's what makes this moment feel different from past rumor cycles. This doesn't feel like drama. It feels like two people learning, in real time, how to protect something that became heavier than expected. Why this isn't about blame. It's easy to point fingers at fans, at media, at expectations. But the truth is more complicated. Fans fell in love because Faye and Yoko invited them into something warm. Fans stayed because that warmth felt meaningful. And when something matters, people cling tighter, sometimes without realizing how heavy their grip becomes. This isn't about fans doing something wrong. It's about what happens when affection scales faster than boundaries. The emotional crossroad they're facing. Right now, Faye and Yoko seem to be standing at a quiet crossroads. Do they pull back to protect themselves, even if fans feel confused? Or do they continue being open, knowing the pressure will only grow? Neither choice is easy. But one thing is clear, the line that was never drawn is now being felt. What this moment really represents. This isn't a breakup story. It isn't a confirmation story. It isn't even a scandal. It's a growing pain story. It's about two people navigating what happens when authenticity meets mass attention, and realizing that being real in public comes with emotional costs no one prepares you for. Final thought. Faye and Yoko didn't change overnight. The environment around them did. And perhaps this moment isn't about losing softness, but learning how to keep it safe. Because openness is beautiful, but only when it doesn't come at the cost of peace. And maybe, just maybe, drawing a line now is how they protect what made people love them in the first place.